Hello guys, and welcome to a new video where I show you the new firmware running on the LDK. Oh yes. Now I'm not going to post any videos or any tutorials on how to do the upgrade because they're already online, and I found this excellent one right here by Etta Prime. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a video link in the description down below so you can find the video directly on his YouTube channel. So yeah, definitely worth checking that out. And you'll also be able to get the download data from this website here, which I'll also put a link in the video description down below. Now don't forget, the video links do go out of date from time to time. So if they do, don't be lazy. Don't ask in the comments. Well, you can ask in the comments, but I won't answer because I don't have time to run around looking for stuff that you can look for by yourself by doing a simple Google search. Sorry to be an asshole, but you know, life is busy. Okay, anyway. So yes, I'm going to put the links in the video description down below, but probably what you want to know is, does this upgrade make any difference to the LDK? Well, let's get a little bit closer and find out. So the first thing you'll notice when you switch on the machine is the new front end, and it looks lovely, this lovely comic book retro style to it. And as you can see, it's very easy to figure out what machine you're using because you have a picture of the machine there and some screenshots of games running on it. It's a really nicely done front end, and with the new firmware installed, all these emulators are the latest, or as of this video, versions of the emulators, and they all come with the firmware, so you don't have to install anything yourself separately, which is really good. Same thing as always, you can use the L and R buttons to change different sections. So here we've got various games running on the Linux platform. We'll check out some of those newer ones there. And we've got our setup options here, same as always. And of course we've got our basic, you know, different programs such as the video player, music player, and so on. Now what you guys want to know is, has this improved the emulation of certain systems? Well, maybe, but not as much as you probably hope. Okay, so the big one is PlayStation, right? Let's take a look. Now, just one thing I'd like to get out the way. You can customize the speed of the CPU. You can see it's down there. It's set as 600 megahertz. Now, you can customize the CPU clock speed here. Now, the thing is, if you do that, the emulator usually ends up crashing at certain points. And it doesn't really make any difference to the speed anyway, so it's kind of pointless. Okay, so let's take a look at the PlayStation, which was the most disappointing last time. Well, I'm afraid that Metal Slug still has no sound. And Tekken 3 is still as slow as hell. Just check this out. Now, I've actually put the counter up at the top here so you can get some idea of the numbers. So we've got the frames per second here, and the CPU load over here, and the screen resolution. And as you can see, it runs the video part just fine, no problems there. Okay, running a little bit slower, 50 frames per second here, but still not too bad. Then we get into the actual game and you'll see that it is pretty awful.
Round 1. Fight.
Maybe a slight improvement over the original stock firmware version, but not by much. What's it running at? 25, 24? Yeah, around about 25 frames per second. Now if we take a look at the settings, you will see that we are running with the frame limiter on. You need the on and frame skip set to auto. If you turn the frame skip off, it's even worse. As you can see, it's now running at 20 frames per second. And let's see if we put the frame limiter to off as well. And we put the frame skip on. You can see we get a little bit faster. We're now up to 30 frames per second, or 28. Slightly faster, but still far from ideal. Now, basic 3D games will work okay, but you know, the more complex games are not going to work at all. So, another game that a lot of people wanted to see working really well was Castlevania Symphony of the Night. So let's take a look at that. Now, what we want to do is we want to go to the GPU settings. Frame limiter, we want that kept on because it'll stop the game from speeding up, and we want frame skip on auto. Alright. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to load in a save state, so we don't have to play that beginning section again. And as you can see, that is a lot better than the previous stock version of the emulator. Still not perfect, mind you, but it is running fairly well. In fact, let's do a side-by-side comparison to this running next to the stock version. So as you can see, the stock version is a lot slower than this updated version of the firmware. So it does make a little bit of an improvement. Okay, another one that people mentioned that didn't work too well last time on the previous video was Neo Geo. So let's take a look at that. Now, Neo Geo is pretty much the same, but one thing that does make a big difference now is if you turn off the VSync. Now, what that'll mean is you will get some screen tearing, but the games will run a lot smoother. So let's load up a Metal Slug and see how it compares to the previous version. So remember, on the previous video, it was a little bit on the jerky side. As you can see now, it's a lot smoother, but there is a little bit of screen tearing in there. Putting the VSync on will take away the screen tearing, but that means you will also get the not so smooth screen update as featured in the previous video. Also, having the VSync off also gives you a bit of slowdown. So Neo Geo isn't really improved that much, to be honest. So we've got a few different choices for arcade emulation here. We've got two versions of Final Burn Alpha. This is probably the better one, but basically this is just going to be used for playing Capcom CPS games. And to be fair, it does run them very well, as we'll see with Captain Commando. No, we did Captain Commando last time. As we'll see with the Punisher. As you can see, CPS 2 games and CPS 1 games will work fairly well. In fact, pretty much perfectly. Okay, so let's take a look at the third choice for arcade emulation on this machine, and that is Mame. Now Mame and Final Burn Alpha do basically play the same type of games, but Final Burn Alpha doesn't play them very well. So let's take a look at some Konami games running via Mame. Now it's a little bit jittery, but it's far better than it was. It's got to be Wolverine, hasn't it? Tell you what, it's really difficult playing games looking through a camera's viewfinder. So let's take a look at some of the extra Linux-based games that have been put on here, which were not on the original stock firmware. Now if I remember rightly, I think this was using a modified version of the Doom engine. It's pretty tricky to control on a digital control pad. Now I think this may require, you know, a stronger CPU or GPU than what this machine has, because it does seem to struggle a little bit with this game, whereas it will run Doom perfectly fine, and Quake actually. And let's take a look at this unofficial version of Pang running. Yep, you can definitely tell this is a homebrew version. But yeah, it works. That's a nice little addition. Thing is, the arcade emulation probably worked just fine using Mame, so yeah, it's kind of pointless playing this version. Now here's one that I really want to check out, and that's Cannonball. But unfortunately I don't have the files that go with this, so when I try to launch it, it just resets. So there's some files missing from that, which is a shame, because I wish they would have put them along, you know, with the emulator. Open Beats of Rage also has no games built into it, so you'll have to add them yourself. A real shame. And here we go, taking a look at a homebrew version of the King of Fighters. Pretty interesting release, this one. Obviously using sprites ripped off the original game. It does seem to run a little bit slow here. Interesting. So there we have it. That is the upgraded firmware for the LDK. Now, while the improvements are minor, they are slightly better than the stock firmware, especially this new front end. You can also use the original front end as well if you wish. But yeah, some people may not be too bothered with upgrading the firmware, while some people may think it's a necessary thing to do. But yeah, still don't expect to be playing all your PlayStation games at full speed. Some of them will work better now than they did, but not all of them, especially the more recent PlayStation games. But that said, at least you're going to be playing more than you were originally. Alright, so next time here on the Retrocore channel, we're going to be taking a look at some more Chinese hardware. So until then, take it easy and keep on gaming.